on, one of the problems we're going to work on today are even and odd numbers. A easy way to go about this is just simply to look at the last number. If the last number is an even number, then that is a even, the whole number is a even number. So even numbers are 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So let's just look at the last number. The last number of 39 is 9. That is a odd number, so you would check it as odd. 370, the last number is 0, which is an even number, so that would be an even number problem. 86, the 6 is even, so that will also be an even number problem. 77, 7 is an odd number, which will make this problem an odd number. And 642, the last number is a 2, which will also make this a even number problem. The next problem focuses on the disability rules of 2, 5, and 10. If you're good with your multiples of 2's, 5, and 10, this should be a really easy problem because you know 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, those numbers are divisible by 2. Numbers that are divisible by 5 would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 35, 40, 50, and so forth. And 10, numbers that are divisible by 10 would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So it's pretty much just knowing your multiplications. So here, which numbers are divisible? The first problem says which numbers are divisible by 10. We have 550, 398, and 835. So here we'll look at the last two numbers. So we know 50 is divisible by 10, so we will check that one. 398, no. If it was 400, yeah, but not 10. The last two, 35, if it was 30 or 40, yes, but not 835. Which numbers are divisible by 5 is the next one. The first number is, because we have already said 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. 50 is a multiple of 5, so yes, that is divisible by 5. 398, no. But 35 is 835. The last numbers are 35. 7 times 5 is 35. So yes, it's definitely divisible by 5. The next one, which numbers is divisible by 2? 550. 2 is a multiple of 50. So yes, you can get it there an even number of times. 2 times 50 is 2 times 25 is 50. So yes, that would be a go. 398, the last number is 8. 2 will go into 8 an even number of times. That would also work. 835 would not work because 5 is not divisible by 2. Focuses on prime numbers, and this means that the number is only divisible by 1 and itself. So if it's divisible by 3 different numbers, it's not gonna work. So for instance, 2 is only divisible by 1 and itself. Okay, so it's only divisible by 1 and 2. No other numbers could give you it's divisible by 2. Okay, 13 is the same. Only 1 and 13 could give you 13. So that is also a prime number. The same with 17. Only 1 and 17. No other numbers could go into 17 that would give you 17. The next one is 26. That's not a prime number. There are 4 different numbers that go into 26. You have 1, 2, 13, and 26. Of course, 1 times 26 is 26. 2 times 13 is also 26. So you have 4 different numbers that would go into 26, which would make this number not a prime number. 29 is also, 29 is a prime number, but 27 is not a prime number because there are 4 different numbers that will go into 27. We have 1, 3, 9, and 27 that would go into 27, and you can see that here. So we have 1, 3, 9, and 27 that will go into 27, which will make this number not a prime number. Okay, so let's move along to the next problem. Okay, we're moving on to rounding decimals. So we have to round 9.58 to the nearest whole number. 9 is the whole number. The nearest number to that is the 5. So we would either round up or down. If the number, it says here, if the digit is less than 5, we will round down. If the number is greater, 5 or greater, then we round up. Since the number is 5, we will round up, which will make the answer 10. So instead of it being 9.58, since the 5 means that we will have to round up, we will round up to 10 because we're rounding to the nearest whole number. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. The next problem asks us to use the ALEKS calculator. However, we do not have to use the ALEKS calculator. I'm actually using my my smartphone for this problem, so you don't necessarily have to use the ALEKS calculator. So we have to convert this fraction to a decimal, and then we have to round it. So what we have here, we have 50 over 13, and what I am doing is I'm typing in 50, and then I am clicking on my divide sign and then typing in 13, and I'm pressing the equal sign, and I have 3.84, and then we round this. We just learned, remember in the last video, in the last problem, that if it's 5 or above, we round up. If it's below 5, we round down. So we'll just round down, and so our answer will be 3.8. For this problem, converting between percentages and decimals, we're also going to use our smartphones or calculators, or you can also use the ALEKS calculator as well. This is a very simple problem. You're just going to divide for the first one and multiply for the second one. When you have a percentage and you want to convert their percentage to a decimal, you're just going to divide that by 100. So in your calculator, just type in 540, click the division sign, and then 100, and that should give you 5.4. So that will be the answer for A. And then for B, we want to convert a decimal to a percentage, and for this one we're just going to simply type in, make sure that you click the AC button multiple times, because sometimes if you don't, it still has the other problem left over in the system. So just type in 0.0043, and then you would multiply times 100, and then that should give you 0.43. And so you just type in 0.43%, and that's going to be your answer for this problem. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. Okay, the next problem requires us to find the percentage of a total amount in a real situation. So the question asks, suppose that an individual has a body fat percentage of 15.6% and weighs 149 pounds. How many pounds of his weight is made up of fat? Round to the nearest tenth. To find how many pounds of his weight is fat, we need to find 15.6% of 49. First, we change 15.6% to a decimal. In order to change 15.6% to a decimal, we must divide. So in your calculator, make sure that everything is cleared out, and then type in 15.6 divided by 100, and then that will give you 0.156. Then you just simply multiply 0.156 times 149 to give you the answer, which is 23.244. So once again, we know we have to round. If that number is 5 or below, we will round up. If it's less than 5, then we round down. So our answer is simply going to be 23.2 pounds of his weight is fat. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. Okay, the next problem is the Venn diagram. These can be a lot of fun, but it can be tricky at the same time. I always like these kind of problems. The Venn diagram shows the membership for the softball club and the volleyball club. Use the diagram to answer the questions below. How many people play softball? So here we see, let's count them. We have 1, 2. This is the softball circle here. So when it's asking how many people play softball, you have to look here within this circle. All of these people are the ones that play softball. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 people play softball. So we'll mark that for A. The next question asks, how many people play both softball and volleyball? So let's look here. We have our softball circle here with all the softball people. And then we have our circle here with all of our volleyball people. But this question wants to know how many people that play softball and volleyball. And so here, this circle here includes the individuals that play both softball and volleyball, and we have 3. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. It says, how many people play softball but not volleyball? Okay, so now it just wants us to know, count the people on this side, okay? Because these are the people that actually just play softball but do not play volleyball. So let's add these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that answers that question. So now we know how many people play softball, how many people play both softball and volleyball, and how many people play softball but not volleyball, which is 6. Okay, so let's move right along to the next problem. Okay, the next problem we're working on is the square root. So the square root of a perfect square. Once again, you can use your smartphone, or you can use the ALEKS app or any type of calculator that you have for this type of problem. And please keep in mind that even when we have quizzes or any type of test, I will allow you to use your smartphone or calculator. So please feel free to use whatever device that you have. So for this problem here, it says the square root of 36. And so for the square root of 36, what I have to do, because I have a smartphone and I have just the basic calculator, but when I turn my calculator long ways or horizontally, then my scientific calculator pops up. So what I have to do first is I type in 36, and then I press the square root. So you would press the square root sign and then the one that has the little 2. And then once you do that, then you should get your answer, and your answer should pop up 6. So please don't make this any more difficult than it has to be. Make sure you use your calculator, type in 36 and the square root, and you should get your answer. Okay, let's move right along to the next problem. Here, once again, you can use your ALEKS calculator, or you can use your smartphone or whatever calculator that you have. You will definitely need your scientific calculator, so you would type in 68 and then click on the square root, and then you should get 8.246. You're going to round to the nearest 100, and so you will see that 6 is greater than 5, so you would round up, so your answer would be 8.25. Okay, for the next problem, it requires us to multiply. So once again, you can use your calculator, but if you can do it in your head, that's great too. So we're going to multiply 4, parentheses, -4 times -1 in parentheses. So you would multiply the first 2 numbers, 4 multiplied by -4 in closed parentheses will give you a -16. And then a -16 times a -1 is 16. Two negatives equals a positive, which is why the sign changed. Okay, so let's move on to the next problem. Okay, now this problem requires us to translate a sentence using an inequality symbol. So we have the inequality symbol table here, so you can just use that to help you answer the question. So it asks us, what the statement says, A is greater than or equal to 8. So we look here at our symbols, and so we write down A, and then we find the greater than sign. And then we find the one that says is less than or equal to, and that one is here. Is the last one is greater than or equal to, and that's the one we pick. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. Okay, the next problem is set builder notation. So we have to rewrite the set cube by listing its elements. So we have to make sure that we're using the correct notation. A easy way to do this problem, we know Q is Z is in replace for Q. The best way to do this is to look at the Z here and just read the problem off. So we know Z is the integer that we're looking at, and so it says here Z is greater than a -5. Z is also less than a -3. So we would have to figure out which number that Z is greater than a -5, but it's also less than a -3, and the only number that would fit this would be a -4. Okay, let's move on to the next problem.